I'm George Boston Rhymes with the Getto Free Press, a social media personality since a long time ago. And this morning I want to talk about the Republicans and how they passed the House Bill 531, at least it passed the chamber. The votes were 97 to 72. And of course, I want to talk about that. Voter suppression, voter intimidation, impediments to voting. A lot of people are talking about that, but there's another part to it called removing black elected officials from office after the voters vote them into office. That's a problem also. However, you don't hear my beautiful sister with all the great, outstanding work she's doing. You don't hear Stacey Abrams talking about that much, nor the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. But if you go to YouTube Boston G.B.R, blogger.com, Twitter, Facebook, you'll see where I have extensive videos dating back to December of 2010 about real voting problems that your mainstream news media refuse to connect the dots. Nobody in America will connect the dots. This information about suffering black elected officials and voter problems, particularly here in South Georgia and North Florida area that I can vouch for. And since one, I won't call the name of this newspaper, asked me some questions about the accuracy of my reporting, along with some other things, which I'm going to address at some point because you all know I don't turn, I don't run, and I don't back up. And I try my best to give you nothing but the truth. And if I have error in any publication that I have ever written or published from my mouth, not what others say, then I apologize today for that, because that's not my intent. I didn't go to school for journalism. I'm retired military. I served my country. I came back to Valdosta, had a business for 14 years. A year or two before I even got out of the military. And when I found out that the whites, listen to me, to the newspaper that called me, I don't mean no harm, but I'm a child. I don't argue because I don't have to. I just speak the truth. And the book says, then that becomes on the football field of God domain. So when I returned to Valdosta, and I found out that Earl Evans, a black basketball player in Quitman, had been shot and burned up in a police car. And I started asking questions about it because I wasn't here when it happened. And I wrote about that. If you go to my blog and you Google Earl Evans, you'll see that I was the only somebody that was talking about that and still talking about how that man was murdered in Quitman without justice. Then James Demps, I think it was, shot there in Washington Funeral Home. I talked about that. That's back in 1975 because that's when I got in this area. Then from there, Ron Chisholm, Eugene Brandon, I think his name was, we all got together. Let me just leave all that out. But the bottom line, I've been doing this a long time. I published about 6 or 7 black folk that was murdered in and around Quitman and Brooks County in the modern days, not the ancient of days. I even talked about all the names and published them that died during the week of the Mary Turner lynching in May of 1918. I did all of this way back then, before anybody was talking about some of these deaths. Okay? So this is nothing new for me. But what got me the most is that when I got here and I joined the NAACP, well, I was already a member, but when I got here, and find out the number of jail deaths at the Valdosta and Lowndes County Jail. And from what I hear now, Lowndes County Jail is still needing investigation from what I hear. I haven't gone out there. I haven't had the people to call me like they used to because they've given up hope. They think nothing is going to change here in South Georgia. Many have just given up hope. So this is why I picked up a camera and I started reporting not all the news, but the news that people call me on, the cases dealing with police brutality, jail deaths, dead family members, and can't even get it published in the South Georgia newspapers, nor even presented on television stations. Can't get the Valdosta Daily Times, nor the Quitman Free Press to even publish a letter to the editor that I wrote, and I published it on my channel, and I'm going to be sending it to the Atlanta Journal and Constitution and other newspapers across the nation, because the truth about Washington Street High School and how black students attended that school in Quitman and Brooks County, and they excel to be the highest caliber of educators found anywhere. That's in the Marines, Navy, Coast Guard, Army, Green Berets, wherever. Those black educators, this is what the Quitman Free Press and the Valdosta Daily Times would not publish. I talked about those black educators that took those hand-me-down books from white schools. Some of them had the backs torn off of them. But those black educators in that all-black school from 1955 to 1970, and I was among the last graduating class from that school. And therefore, when Florence Louise Butts died, and then Dr. Ira Hicks, who was a professor at Fort Valley State College, passed away a few weeks ago. I wrote a letter to the editor talking about these same individuals and the great educational knowledge they had to pass on to us. And I know that we have people that graduated from Washington Street High School who had second or third grade books. But those educators took them hand-me-down books from white schools. Some of those books was outdated. We had to get them from the white schools. After they get the new books, then they pass the old books that whites done used to us. Now, you might not publish my letter to the editor, Valdosta Daily Times. I don't mean no harm. And the Quitman Free Press. But what I spoke is indeed the truth. Robert C. Marshall is still alive over in Quitman. There are educators over there now who told me, Ryan, what you published is true. I had other black folk who read my letter, told me, say it happened in other areas, not just in Brooks County, Georgia. And so I'm going to continue to report what others ignore. And the black folk who should appreciate somebody that will stand up in times like these and tell the unadulterated truth, not the unadulterated lies that we hear. And I'm not angry with nobody. If you feel anger in my voice, you're on the wrong ship. I'm from a different culture than you. If you notice me, when I get around white folk, I'm not always laughing and scratching where I don't itch. I'm a black man, proud of my heritage. And I'm proud of the white people's heritage. I'm proud of for them having it. Because after all, it is a documented history. Don't you know that if black folk had lynched white folk, castrated them, took their children and their wives, and did what they have done to the black man, woman, and their children, that when you go online and you Google, you should see white people lynched like you see black folk. You should see white folk having water holes put on them and dog bites and the J. Edgar Hoover and what he did to Dr. King, and they got a long record of that. Don't blame me for that. I didn't live that. That's why I tell black people today, do not hate white folk. When I was younger, we young boys wanted to retaliate because of the injustices here down south. But old black people, we wasn't black then, we was Negroes. Those old Negroes told us young guys, said, look here, don't pick up the gun. Because when you pick up the gun, you only hurt yourself. That's right. They said Jesus, or Yahshua, told Peter, put up your sword, man. He talked about how many legions of army men he could have brought in. But he said, he that liveth by the sword would also die by the sword. So if Jesus said that and you bring it to 2021, what are you saying? Now, you know we never had people lying in government. We know there was liars, but not like they are today. And you know why? Let me tell you something about all these lies and they switching the truth and making the truth into a lie and the lie into the truth. And why I look at that and I say, Lord, I thank you. I thank God for that happening at this dispensation. You know why? Because I read the volume of sacred law, and it says before the ending of time, men would call a lie the truth and the truth a lie. He said men would turn against a female, losing their natural affection for the female, and turn and start loving men, and men would start loving women. There's no need of being angry about what you see. It is indeed the fulfillment of divine prophecy. The preachers won't preach it. They either don't know it or they're scared as hell. And I'm not just down on preachers. I'm talking about imams. I'm talking about rabbis. I'm talking about George Boston. I'm talking about all of us who should be speaking it and living it. Some religious folk got more girlfriends. Don't make sense. But yet they love Jesus. They shout, speak in tongues, fall down on the floor, saying hallelujah, hallelujah, and hallelujah. I don't play that game no more. I used to. I used to sell wolf tickets. I wasn't always this way. But I ain't never been out in the street like some of you all. And I'm not boasting because I can't. But the truth shall set you free. But when they talk about this House Bill 531, talking about they want to improve voting, if Donald Trump, former President Trump, and his circle of soldiers want to improve voter rights for all Americans, go to Brooks County with the Quitman 10+2 and pull up that transcript. I done tried to get the Democratic Party to pull up that transcript wherein they brought 12 outstanding black citizens up on bogus charges under former Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, now the governor. And do you know that when the Quitman 10+2 and the people in the community who talked about how they were mistreated at the ballot box and how they were removed from office, and they sent letters in to the Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, Glenn Archie came to Brooks County, and I recorded it because that's what God have called me to do at dispensation. At this dispensation, I have it all recorded on video. They wrote out their complaints. Some filed them that day, some mailed some in, some emailed some. And until this day, to the newspaper, they asked me to verify, make sure what I publish is right. Look, if you hear me say it, you might as well go to a good bank. I don't have to lie. I'm not a lying man. Didn't come from a lying family. Didn't come from a family of law violators. 6 people was in my family. I got 5 other siblings. And all 5 of them, well, 4 of them, are older than me. And not one of them, not one have ever set foot in a jail, for any reason, I'm the only one that went to jail with a charge of trying to get a racist park renamed here in Valdosta, Georgia. A very racist city and county that don't even fly the Georgia flag until this day. Over the courthouse, over the museum, over the Rainwater Conference Center, over the USDA building up over there. Won't even fly a Georgia flag to respect members of our armed forces. Don't fly no flag. The National Guard Armory. Your sons and daughters are in the reserves, and if the governor called them up to go fight in the war or fight in this city or go overseas on foreign battlefields, they don't even fly a flag in their honor. Mayor Scott James Matheson is the mayor. But I talk about the county commissioners too. And I do it because I love this republic and I love your children. And I respect the armed forces so much that when I go ride around, I look for flags. Go to the Quitman, little Quitman, and look over their courthouse. Big old Georgia state flag. To show our service members that we appreciate them. Go to Thomasville, state flag. Go to Brunswick, state flag. Go to Bainbridge, state flag. Go to Douglas, state flag. But now if you go to Atkinson County Police Department, you won't see a Georgia flag there either. Nor will you see one over the courthouse. Go to Black Shield, Georgia, state flag. Waycross, Georgia, state flag. Albany, Georgia, state flag. Valdosta, Georgia, County and Lowndes County, no flag. No state flag. You know why they don't fly? I believe because they're racist. I didn't say they were. I said I believe they're racist because I got pictures that I have taken from many local businesses and government buildings, including the U.S. Post Office, who used to fly the old Georgia flag that they said was racist, and the Georgia legislation took it down. And they put this one up. And so I believe that it's retaliation. Nobody's talking about that. But I'm talking about it because it is the truth. Wait a minute. Now, if you want to stop voter suppression, Google some of these towns and what the black, I didn't say white, I'm talking about black elected officials went through. Y'all ought to go to Douglas. Y'all need to Google Douglas and Coffee County. You can go on the voting rights. You go on the city council meeting. You go on the city council mayor in Douglas. Just Google it. I pray to God that one day somebody will do something about what's going on in Douglas. I have a video where when I started going over there some years ago, the first time I went over there on a press to record was a young man had a noose put around his neck. And that's why I went. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But you look at my video and it'll tell you what happened. You'll hear from his own mouth what happened. You gotta take my word for it. Somebody telling me I'm lying. I wish somebody could find me deliberately lying on anybody. That's not the flavor of my nature, nor is it the nature of my flavor. I'm the one reported out here when the noose was out here, at Bearcraft out here. That ain't over yet. They think it is. But see, the Bible says, all those things that are hidden are coming to light. You don't have to believe what is written. Do you all know that there was people in this country who thought you would never see a black man ride down the street in the same car with a white woman? My grandmama told me a man looked at a white woman over in Brooks County. And I'm not going to tell you what she told me happened to him. In Valdosta, you couldn't be in the front seat with a white woman. Now, I ain't going to talk about this, but what you hear me say today, I got people still living. I don't have to write nothing down. You see, it's like in Douglas. Somebody told me something I said about in Douglas. Look, I called somebody in Douglas last night, and they told me, we talked about it extensively. Ryan, what you mentioned in your video, you didn't have to say it. Just call me and I'll tell them what you said. Everything that I say is backed up by a living if they haven't died yet. See, the $1.5 million in a place I went to called Gordon, Georgia, dealing with removing black elected officials from office, because God knows they tried to remove Mayor Ann Whippaloo in Gordon. Them white folk went through hell and high and low water. They went through the pyramid to remove her. But God brought her through it. Ask her who reported her news. I'm talking about in Macon, Georgia. And let me say this. I know I've read about, they call it ethics in journalism, ethics among the free presses. I found out I used to have ethics, and I got ethics, but when it comes down to the truth, that's my ethics. I'm going to speak the truth, and I'm not going to lie on nobody. Listen to this. All the newspapers and television stations in the Middle District of Georgia around the Macon area did Mayor Ann Whippaloo wrong. Now call me a lie. Call me a lie if you want to. But you don't have to write me and say I'm lying. I can give you phone numbers for you to call these people and they can speak for themselves. They can speak for themselves. Look here, I got to go. Peace be unto you. Y'all have a nice day. Bye-bye. I'm going. I got to go to a meeting. This is part 2. The other video was interrupted. I had someone to come in. I got a meeting. And they thought they had the time mixed up. So I want to continue talking about voting rights and the people who say they are concerned about voting rights, but it seems and give the appearance that they are limited in their concern for voting rights. How can you say that you are concerned about voting rights? This goes to all the mainstream white and black news media outlets. And listen to me closely. I'm not condemning any of you. So if you prove me wrong, you need to come out with it. Because my code of ethics is to give you the truth. And I can do that. Because I've already reported it. Now I'm just rehashing it. The Madison, Florida 9. They were brought up on bogus voting fraud charges. Most of them was exonerated. But it was done. You can't deny that white folk brought them up on them charges. You can't deny in Quitman in Brooks County, the Secretary in Georgia, the Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp brought all those charges up against those folk. 12 of them. I mean, very educated, most respected names in Brooks County that could be in any town. And all the other cities that I've been in, they always go after the most respected people in the community to set an example that if I can get them, then we can get anybody. Dr. Nancy Dennett had a doctorate degree. They removed her from office. Diane Thomas, a master's degree, got a PhD now. And other educators, that's who they went after. They want to set example. Yeah. But now Nancy Dennett became the mayor of that city. Mm-hmm. And all of these people that they tried to destroy their lives and destroy their families, and it didn't work. I thank God for the God that my grandma told me to kiss when I was young. And I'm still kissing him because he never let us down as a people. Out of those 12 people, they chose one. Miss Lula Smart. They say we'll try one case and then they want to be tried individually. They wouldn't go for, let me say what I want to say is this. Lula Smart case was the first case and was the only case. The first case was a mistrial, second case mistrial, third time she was exonerated. Now for you who say I lie, you should never went down that road. I reported that there was no newspaper in Georgia. I said there was no newspaper in Georgia. No TV station in Georgia. No social media in the United States of America covered the Quitman 10 high-profile voter rights case. To me, should be a landmark case. If somebody cared enough to dig into the transcript and see the people that perjured themselves. I'm not talking about no lightweights now. They perjured themselves. But no TV station, 19-day court case. No news media for the most part was there every day to cover it because it was of no concern once they found out that thing wasn't going like those in the clique and among the slicks wanted to go. So when I say that nobody, I'm saying the news media is the best news money can buy. Because that's what you all are proving to Black Americans and a lot of white Americans. Whites are telling me the same thing. And what I like about the modern day white folk, all of them are not racist. And I'm asking Black folk with the most love and respect, please don't you allow yourself to hate white people. I've said it before and I'm going to continue to say it until it's not true anymore. Certain white folk was fighting for me before I knew what the fight was all about. And got enough sense to say it and got enough sense to acknowledge it because it is indeed the truth. And according to St. John 8:32, and you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. And that's why I'm so free. I don't have to lie. Don't need to lie. Wasn't born to lie. And I wasn't shaped and forced into a liar. So make a long story short, Lula Smart won her case. And when they dismissed that case, I got it all on tape. Just Google the Quitman 10 plus 2 Lula Smart, not guilty, and all the video will come up. I couldn't record the court case. I put in my request, but they wouldn't let me record it. But I took the camera in the courtroom after the verdict and see the people say, hey, hey, just like they were doing in Douglas the other day. That's right. Just like they did in Jessup. When they tried to remove, that's what it was after, trying to get rid of Commissioner Olivia Coley Pearson. And in Douglas, I have so many videos about how Black people say they don't have a news media. And I'm not going to back up off the truth. And you can call me in and interview me if you like. I'm willing to sit before the camera. I'm willing to go on CNN, XPO, or RRP, or X04. And any question you want to ask me, you can ask me. And in most cases, I won't even have to speak. I have a living person that to tell my story because I don't even have to tell it. I wouldn't know it if they didn't tell me. And when Olivia Coley Pearson ran to hold on to her seat, the white news media in Douglas, Georgia, Coffee County, they were going into the back, count the ballots. I'm Black. I'm the Getto Free Press. I followed them. Mayor Tony Polk, Daddy, told me you can't come back here. I said, I'm a press like they are. He said, wait a minute, I got to get you can't come back here. They were already back there. Robert Preston from Douglas. Now, if I'm lying, just let me know which clip you want off the video and I'll give it to you. And when they found out I'm coming back there, the Board of Election Supervisors, I understand that she resigned the other day, but you don't take no picture of me. Don't take no picture of me. In fact, you can't go in there. All y'all come out. Well, after the little Brown brother wanted to exercise his right as a veteran of the United States Armed Forces, told me I couldn't go in there, call all of them out. We all had to go behind the glass then. But if I was not there, they were permitted to go back there where they were going. I took note of it, but we had to record the glass then. Now, since people beginning to question the accuracy of my statement and not researching what I've said, in most cases, it's the people on the courthouse grounds all across Georgia, where I've been, as they make statements, I turn the camera on. That's all I do. If you could look at the videos in Gordon, Georgia, and see what those white folk was doing, call themselves a concerned citizen, what they did to Mayor Ann Whipperloo. A lot of people didn't like that, but it wasn't me saying it. Then on February the 5th, 2015, they called me a nigger. I was riding the public highway in the state of Georgia, right in front of the bank there. Called me a nigger. You can't offend me by calling me a nigger. I got two definitions of nigger and been called it so much. I understand when they call me a nigger, they call me a servant of God, a spiritual person. In the ancient of days, niggers. Ain't no problem with that word. But just for the record, I stopped my car in the middle of the road, showed the police right across the street. I took my camera out and I said it with a loud voice. Where is the nigger? Show me the nigger. The mayor pro tem was in that group. Now, I didn't say he called me that. I know who called me because I heard somebody tell me. But that didn't bother me. The only reason I went before the council, because I want them to know what they were doing to Mayor Ann Whipperloo. I want them to know what town we're living in. And above all, I wanted to stand what Jesus said. And you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And I didn't want Mayor Ann Whipperloo to walk down this road alone. I made so many trips to Gordon, just like I made several trips to Madison, Florida. I can't count the number of videos I have with Quitman 10+2. Rode all up to Atlanta, most cases, everywhere they went. Mostly I went. Then I leave there, you go to Meigs, Georgia. Linda Harris. I wonder if anybody will ever go over and tell that girl that they railroaded you and we're sorry that the black community and the black preacher didn't get behind her. It ain't just about voting, Stacey Abrams. It's not just about impediments, Miss Stacey Abrams. After those people are elected and they call on you and others like the Democratic Party, DeBose Porter, all these cities that I've covered across the state of Georgia, when they called for help, they was out there alone. I got a story to tell, but nobody wants to hear it because they're not really concerned about voting. MSNBC, ABC, CBS, 6 Minutes, 48 Hours, Al Sharpton. If you were serious about ensuring the right to vote, how could you not go to Sparta and Hancock County and interview the people that I interviewed? And while you're at it, read the interview that New York Times came down and did on Sparta and Hancock County that the Georgia Associated Press didn't cover to that degree, when they was having black folk to pull up their property deeds. Now call that a lie if you want to. All you have to do is read the newspaper. And I didn't do the report, the New York Times did. They came down. Better yet, when Olivia Coley Pearson was going through hell and high water and they were trying to prosecute her and send her to prison, it took 11 Alive Action News the Poverty Lawson, I believe it is, but outside agencies to come in and help her. Don't get me wrong, she had a little support. But the local news media outlets. Now, wait a minute. You can say, Ryan, that's not true. You down in the newspapers. I'm not down in the newspaper, and I'm not down in the television stations. I'm just speaking the truth. Somebody asked me something about over there the other day with before Judge Kelly Brooks and Mayor Tony. Lord forgive me, Sheriff Polk. I'm sorry, brother. Mayor Tony Polk versus Roscoe Allen, who's in jail until this day. A lot of people in the black community say it's nothing more. I ain't gonna get into that today, but I don't want to stay focused on it. Check this. At that court case last week, I asked the people a question. I'm gonna ask it again. You can say I was wrong by doing it. And there was a reporter from some newspaper told me they was in the courtroom and I shouldn't have said the news media wasn't there. I apologize if I hurt your feelings. I really do. But when I talk about the beef of the news media, I'm talking about the TV stations, prominent newspapers who cover everything like Olivia Coley Pearson can tell you, and like when something happened to other black folk. In fact, one of the council commissioners said that in his interview. It's not just about me. I gotta go, y'all. Y'all excuse me. I don't know y'all. I know y'all get tired of me, but you know these things got to be said because people got to understand that these people say they're concerned about voting. If you don't get the big picture, you just blowing in the wind, and people really getting tired of it. Just hearing people talking about, I'm tired of voting. I want voting rights and stuff like that. And you see all these rural cities and counties where even the political party that they represent won't even come help them in time of need. And this go to the law enforcement, it go to the judges, it go to a lot of people who are just doing something, but they ain't doing the right thing. Look here, I got to get out of here. I got a meeting. I got to go. But look at you all. Have a nice day. John Robinson just came in. He always keep me on my P's and Q's. Thank you, my brother.
Yes, sir.
I'm ready. Peace be unto you. Bye-bye.